Army boy, there's a fight in their minds. Trying to put me down on the ground, but I hate this being jealous, cause I'm the right in their minds. In their minds! Screw up with me, boy, don't go right in their minds. Come on, Army boy, there's a fight in their minds.
Looking to end your weekend with a bang. It is late night Philippines Football League action as we come to you from the historic Rizal Memorial Stadium, the third and final match of the day. It is also the last match of match week 7. We've got Philippine Army Football Club squaring off with Loyola FC. This is Claro Manzano on call for this match alongside Tito Dennis Lucindo. And we will look to bring you the action in what we could say is a tale of two tapes for the two squads. And when we will assess the table, both with different stories again, Tito, we look at it, Loyola in the middle, and we have Philippine Army.
Well, you know, Philippine Army right now sitting at 14th spot, and they have ambitions of staying in the first division of the Philippine Football League. As Commissioner Coco Torre has said previously, this is a classification tournament. This is a classification season, and the top 10 are the ones who will likely be retained into the first division, which starts in September. So Philippine Army, with its long history, it's been around since 1960. It participated in the first ASEAN Club Championship. They're a proud team, and it's a bit sad for their followers, for their players, and for even casual football fans like us to see them where they are now. They're 14th. You know, when the UFL started, they actually finished first, I think third. They finished third. That was their best finish in the pro ranks. So they're looking to climb up the rankings. Loyola now sitting in 10th. It's a rather tenuous position for Loyola, and another very proud club. So there's a lot to play for in this game. I mean, people might see it as a match in the bottom third, but there's more at stake.
Well said, of course, as we're gonna get even or dive deeper into the two teams. But let's get it with Philippine Army FC. They did get a breakthrough last week because they did pick up a goalless draw against Midjola FC 1991, their first point of the season. And kita nga natin, they are now in 14th place. I think that's big already. And what
Well,
you said.
Sabi nga ni Coach Margase, kailangan lang nilang ma-convert yung mga pagkakataon na napupunta sa kanila. In the last match, it was noticeably more imaginative from the Army players. Their first few matches this season, they were rather mechanical. But the last game, it was almost there for them. I mean, a lot of the people out there were rooting for them, were seeing that they had chances, they just weren't able to convert.
And when we refer to Army, of course, si Mark Anthony Bedia was their man of the match in that breakthrough game, as we will jump ship dito naman sa Loyola FC. Another historic club. They did return sa ating Copa, pero nandito naman sila sa Philippines Football League, a returning club. And the team, of course, of the likes of the Young Husband brothers, the Hartmans, once upon a time, did get a win or another win already. They're going for two straight. And how do you see this one going for them?
As you mentioned, Loyola, another proud club, another factory for national team players like the Young Husband brothers, the three Hartman brothers. There was also Simon Greatwich, who was also part of the national team. And Coach Simon McManamy, who coached them in the UFL, also came from the national team. But it's a different Loyola that's out there right now. This team is finding its identity, it's finding its players, it's finding who will be at its core. And for this season, it looks like that core is started. It begins with former Stallion player JV Calocaran, who, in spite of being a wingback, has been their leading scorer.
That's right. He's been their leading scorer. And tandaan din natin, Tito, they do have a great number of homegrown players who have really worked their way up the academy, the likes of Django Hector. They've got 30 Closa and also William Winter.
William Winter.
The
yes.
Winter Soldier. Yes.
So last night you were partnered with Kuya Enzo Lucindo, who went up through the Loyola Academy with these players. And that's one thing that has set Loyola apart. Kaya is another team with a strong influence of its academy. And as the league goes on from this year to the coming years, that's something that we want to see more of, a true club setup where the senior team takes on players from its youth academy.
And when we refer to that, the last time I did get to cover Loyola FC, I got to speak to Coach Roxy again. And I asked, Coach, how happy are you? Because parang ikaw yung tatay ng mga youth players. He raised them up as kids, teaching them the basics of football. Tapos nandito na sila. And Coach couldn't emphasize it with the smile on his face. Grabe talaga. It meant the world to him.
Well, ang daming influences into the academy of Loyola. But before we get more into that, let's turn it over to the cameraman covering what is known as the walk-in protocol. And let's welcome our two teams into this match.
Let us welcome the teams of Philippine Army FC and Loyola FC.
Here we go. We see our respective team captains. Yok Bisite para sa Philippine Army FC at si John Logarta para sa Loyola FC. At ang mga match officials natin, si John Mike Basinang ay ang referee, si Merlo Albano at si Relly Balila ay ang ating linesman. Si Timothy De Castro ay ang fourth official, si Alan Martinez ay ang referee assessor at si JM Pagila ay ang ating match commissioner. Grabe sir, nakaka-inspire talaga when we hear the PFL anthem. It sets the tone, no, Tito Dennis?
Well, kasama na sa PFL anthem itong favorite ng ating stadium announcer na Seven Nation Army from the White Stripes.
Classic song to set the tone. Actually, sir, yung usual stadium announcer natin na si Mr. DJ David Yumol is not here for this weekend, pero babalik daw siya.
Well, we look forward to the family that we have here at the PFL, but take us through the starting lineup, Claro, and their formation.
Kita nga natin, Tito Dennis, we do see the Bedias. One up front, one at the back. Si Mark Anthony ay ang goalkeeper coming off a man-of-the-match performance. Si Roy Kent, of course, yung kanyang kamag-anak will be up front alongside the experienced Ago Ariola. The two men up front again, teammates back in the day with Green Archers United. At si Yok Bisite, ang veterano, ay ang team captain playing central midfielder. Dito naman, para sa Loyola FC, we do see Javi Coscoluela gunning for another clean sheet to add to his tally. What is interesting is that Jorel Aristorenas is playing up front. Madalas siya yung center mid who is providing options to Charlie Yancy Beaton. But let's see how he will thrive in this role as we do see Roy Kent who will kick this off. Binigay kay Ago Ariola who did return actually after missing last game. Ang Philippine Army FC ay naka-dilaw at green. Yung Loyola FC naka-all white.
Javi Coscoluela in goal takes pride in his clean sheets. So when we were talking to Coach Roxy Dorlas earlier, who not only was a Loyola Meralco player, he was also a national team player. He says, well, Javi has had several clean sheets, so he deserves to start in goal. And I think there was a match against Manila Digger where their alternate keeper had some rather questionable decisions in game that led to the goals of Manila Digger. So that might also have been a factor into Javi coming into the starting lineup.
Tito, in that last game, Coscoluela was the man who was in goal for them. 2 clean sheets to his name. One was under or picked up in 90 minutes as there was this strike clearly not framed. Pero yung pangalawang clean sheet ni Coscoluela was after playing 70 minutes. So is there a basis, or would you know?
A basis for a clean sheet. As far as I know, for every minute that the goalkeeper plays and is in between the sticks, if there are no goals scored, then he has earned his clean sheet. Now, if a goalkeeper comes in as a substitute and may naskoran siya, well, hindi nasagot yun ng goalkeeper na lumabas, di ba?
Right.
Napakasaklap naman nun kung na-injure ka, sinaban ka, tapos naskoran yung kapalit mo, tapos mawawala yung clean sheet mo.
Taking it to the extreme ata dun. As we see Kalukaran, a loose pass at the back. Roy Kent Bedia tried to go for it. And Aristorenas flicked it over to Teddy Travis. And actually, we have to give a shout out to Patrick and Ida Kamangian and their 3 boys. They are visiting from North Carolina, rooting for Teddy Travis. The multi-talented Teddy Travis. Singer din off the pitch pala.
Oh, hindi natin alam yun. Baka one of these days makasample para sa atin si Teddy. So we have people from North Carolina. We have a Southie like you on the mic. So medyo susubukan natin yung pananagalog mo ngayong gabi.
Pasado ba ako, sir, sa previous weeks in games? I think not.
Well, you know, like the game of football, it's all about taking your chances and giving it the old college try.
Tama nga, Tito, as we say, and also a shout out to Walt Alfred, who is from Virginia. They did say.
It's a great night for the fans to be out here. It's not as warm as it usually is. We had a heavy rainstorm before the first game, and that actually cooled the atmosphere a lot. That watered down the pitch as it should be before a match. So the football should be good. The players won't be as tired since it's not so hot.
Just one thing, Tito, I wanted to add actually with the quick rain, I think some areas in Metro Manila got flooded or binaha. So credit to some fans who got to still make their way here. But minor lang naman, actually.
Okay, well, to hear na bumaha sa Metro Manila, it's not a surprise. A few weeks ago, when Ateneo lost to FEU in the semifinals, bumaha dun sa tapat ng Ateneo sa Katipunan. Yung bonfire daw ng isang gabi, medyo baka hindi nasindihan ng mabuti yung apoy kasi basa eh.
Basa. Hindi naman basa, sir, dahil sa tears, no? Ateneo losing a close one versus FEU.
Well, that's part of it. This is a beautiful, cruel game. Ateneo was leading for about 60 minutes of that match, and fourth minute of extra time. Martini Ray, who is rumored to be coming to the PFL soon, scored an equalizer, and FEU took it home in extra time. So that is the game. I mean, in the previous match, Tuloy sa Don Bosco looked out of it. They scored 2, almost had a chance to go ahead, but and that looks like Loyola player taken down, but nothing going, says our head referee.
It was Kante squaring off the number 47, Cortez. Actually, Tito, I wanted to point out, grabe yung connection, multisport, Wade to Kante.
Wade to Kante, yung isang team, meron pang Oladipo. I mean,
yes.
Claro, you're also a basketball guy, so I was wondering if he was related to Victor Oladipo.
Yung sabi ko in that game, actually, binigay kay Oladipo, pasensya na, hindi ako sure kung kamag-anak siya ni Victor.
Okay.
Yan ang utang ko, sir, sa live stream.
Yeah,
to fact
okay.
check. I will write that down. And here comes Jalsor Soriano. Wala siya actually in their last game where they picked up a clean sheet. A goalless draw against Minjola.
Okay, and in that play, we saw JV Calocaran muscling off the Army winger. And something we're also seeing in this season, Claro, is that size is starting to make a difference. You see the top teams, and there's a good amount of size to them. You have teams like Tuloy sa Don Bosco or Army or Air Force or Manila Monte that might be good technically, but when it comes to the physical aspect of the game, when you have shoulder challenges, when you have hip checks all throughout the match, we see it where the smaller players tend to wear out sooner.
Actually, parang yung nangyayari, binabangga or kinakalabaw yung mga players. A case in point was Tuloy FC. Yung tanong ko actually, or my question to Jingham lang, yes, they were doing well in the beginning, but will they lose steam? But in this scenario, we felt it wasn't a problem with conditioning. Well, these Tuloy boys are well trained. Just so happens my experience yung bigger.
Yeah, well, the Tuloy boys are well trained, but here tonight we have Philippine Army, who we are pretty sure are in very, very good physical condition. I mean, physical training is a part of the Army schedule on any given day. I'm sure these guys might get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do 10, 20-kilometer hikes. And that's always been a trademark of the Army team, that fitness is never an issue, should never be an issue. I mean, and we have our Loyola, the Frente, the very loyal, very rabid, the few, the proud, the Frente. Frente 17, is it?
Yes, or I understand we can also call them Frente for short, what they did say.
Frente. Our technical producer, Ico de Guzman, was also a part of the support system of Loyola. And maybe since we featured Frente, shout out to our friend Carson Gutierrez, one of the original Loyola supporters from long ago. We've seen fans and people behind and around the game go everywhere. Carson is in the US. We have guys like Gino Aguda, who's now with Ace over at UCFC. Of course, Ico now is with us here at Matchday Media as technical producer.
A shout out to the people behind the scenes. They make this work.
It takes a village, it takes a community, and Matchday Media and the PFL, the competitions committee, the administration of President John, everybody has come together to make this really from at least from a product perspective, one of the best seasons that the PFL has ever seen. I mean, the fans see that we're using more cameras, we're getting different angles. Meron tayong mga behind the goal camera na medyo nakita natin ginagaya na ng ibang liga
Yes.
dito. Wag na natin silang pangalanan. Pero, it gives the fans a perspective that wasn't there before. I mean, in the past, there were maybe 2 cameras, at most 4 cameras.
Even
covered
one, sometimes.
Or even 1 camera. And all these things are little touches to bring the fans closer to the game. So, inaanyayahan namin kayong lahat na nandyan. Na pag gusto nyo yung nakikita nyo, mag-impita pa kayo na marami kasi the sport needs everybody's support.
Of course, we'd like to invite our viewers to join us dito po sa ating live stream o dito mismo sa Rizal Memorial Stadium. 150 pesos lang ang isang ticket natin and 50 pesos there will be donated to your team of choice. And here comes Jorel Aristorenas, nagmamadali sa gitna. Over to Kante from the looks of it, but it was denied by Cortez. Pasensya na tito, whenever I see 47, Mark Kagiwa yung pumapasok sa utak ko. Old habits die hard. Here comes Charlie Yancy Beaton. Real shake and bake. Floored in the process by the tank Jalsor Soriano. Ang kwento doon, tito, the Army, yung moniker nila Troopers.
Okay.
But last Copa, because of his stellar play at the back sa defense, tank si Jalsor Soriano at the back.
Well, they've always been known for toughness, nung naglalaro pa tayo ng football ng mga 90s and early 2000s, kinikwento ko nga kay Sergeant Margarce, their coach, na
Yes.
ang lamang nila lagi dahil yung kalaban nila, pag-apak pa lang sa pitch, atrasado na. Kasi alam na hindi ka pwedeng lalambot-lambot dyan eh. Gugulpihin ka niyan, titirahin ka niyan. And he was saying, well, iba na yung laro ngayon, maybe we have to be not as physical. But sabi ko, pero yun yung alas nyo eh. Diba? Bakit?
Doon sila nanalo eh.
Doon sila nananalo. And that's part of their character. Not that they're dirty, but they've always been tough. They've always been tough and they've always scared the bejesus out of anybody who played against them, from every team across the country from north to south.
As here comes the Winter Soldier up against the Troopers.
The Winter Soldier against the Army Troopers.
And he was denied by the tank.
He was denied by the tank. That is the Army defense.
At ito na, clearance dito mula kay Doremon. I just wanted to give an update there. You were saying Carson is in the US. He's actually here based in Metro Manila.
Already?
In Pasig. He's been living in the Philippines for quite some time.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
Carson, if you're watching tonight, we look forward to seeing you in the stands again like you've always been.
He's gonna kill me because he said not to mention him in the live stream.
Now you
actually.
did. Now you did.
Ay, kabala sa akin, Tito Dennis. You brought up his name. He said, bro, don't. Behind the scenes guy siya. Katulad nila Gino, you name it, and company. As we see JV Kalukaran. He'll continue with the throw-in. He's given us some goals already, as you said. The leading scorer with 3 to his name alongside Jorel Aristorenas. Pero malaking bagay to. Jalsor Soriano holding on to his hand. And he's just making a return, actually. Tough to lose him. With you mentioning the Army style of play. Actually, madaming suspended ngayon in this game. We have 6 players suspended.
From an accumulation of various cards.
Yes. Lahat sila yung not eligible. Yung not playing are simply not available. Injury or baka may commitments right here in the Army.
Well, for somebody who is a fan of the Army and how they play, you don't mind. You see that they've played every game in a way that they care about the result. They care to get stuck in. And cards are a natural consequence of having an attitude. Oh my God!
As Kante,
That was from the most extreme angle you can find, almost at the corner. Kante with a wonder goal.
Emmanuel Kante, channeling his Nolo Kante, surprising
Wow.
us.
Where did that goal come from? Nobody was expecting it. People might have thought that he was crossing it, but look at that swerve. with his laces, taking its laces through the ball, giving it some left to right spin, and look at that curl. Look at that curl. That is skill, that is talent, that is the Philippines Football League.
Kante shooting from what I've been calling dito para sa Loyola, JV Kalukaran range, because he's been scoring from the wing also. So Kante joining that party, and that is his 4th goal already this season by my count, actually. Just to add that he is one of the leaders also para sa Loyola FC.
Yep, a goal of that quality is sure to go into the file of our replay master, replay mistress, Miss Renzi over there. One of the young people in our community at Matchday Media who make the games happen, who help us deliver the games to the public out there.
We saw some physical play as expected from the troopers, but William Winter couldn't reach it.
Okay.
He's standing up though to the likes of Monterona. Well, here's a push. Free kick daw dito sa gitna. Pero teka lang, sabi ni referee John Mike Basinang. We see this shove right here. Doon nga mula kay Ryan Decena.
Well, that goal for Kante, the ball went sideways in the best way possible, and it looks also that the players have been happy with their match ball for the season. The Star Polaris 2000, looking at the flight, it flies through. It does what you want it to do. Today was a rather wet day, and it's held up to that. I mean, we have some balls that if the outer lamination wears out, it gets heavy. No, in the first game today, the pitch was kind of wet, but the ball was still flying through.
So just showing the quality of our match ball. And it's been great, of course, to see these sponsors coming in, supporting the Philippines Football League. Ang daming A-boards ngayon.
Madaming A-boards ngayon. I mean, some of them are team sponsors. Some of them, like Star Sports Korea, is the ball sponsor of the league. Kelme, we'd like to thank Kelme for coming in and outfitting the officials and the local organizing committee and Matchday Media. And gaya nga na sinabi ni Commissioner Coco Torre, the league has never looked this good, at least sa pagka-fashionista nila, no? And not just the look, but the material that they use. I mean, the referees find it to be very cool because it's got a bit of a mesh element to it that allows air to flow through.
We just saw a close look at John Mike Basinang, our referee.
Yes,
rocking.
John Mike Basinang, who also called that Ateneo versus FEU match.
Interesting. And he was rocking the Kelme. Well, here comes Yok Besita, the designated taker, as he takes it and is denied by Coscolluela.
Javi Coscolluela seeing that ball from way off and taking 2 steps to cover his left post and doing the smart thing, punching the ball away. You know, there's a bit of moisture on the pitch, and that might just be the sort of ball that slips through a goalkeeper's fingers.
But we do understand goalkeepers have to adapt to the conditions. Sometimes they just punch it out like what we saw. A corner kick that they have to deal with. It was sent out to the side by Django Hector. One of the young players, again, as we mentioned, may sariling chant na din siya actually to add to the likes of Thirdy Closa.
Okay. And sino ba yun? Si?
Django Hector.
Django Hector.
Has his own chant.
And ano yung chant
And,
niya?
I think we might have to hear it.
Okay.
I'm not so sure if I can say it on air. So si Hector at Closa may sariling chant. Same beat as Kalukaran. Tried to whip it in. Dito naman sa Philippine Army Troopers, when I called the opening game with our colleague Ivan Gallares, with your wisdom, you were giving us insights on Philippine Army, and let's face it, to describe it or summarize what you said, everyone hated playing the military teams because they're tough.
No, they've always been tough, and even tonight we have in the stands a former national team player, Roel Hiner, who came from the Army. And, you know, over the years, since they've been around since 1960, the Army FC has given birth to a number of national team players. I mean, the Salurias, you know, Ray and Judy Jeff Lobaton, who's now an assistant coach with the Ateneo women's team. Roel Henera, as we mentioned.
Yes.
And
Edsa Capaño.
Edsa Capaño.
The legend.
The legend, Edsa. The original Edsa.
Yes.
Well, he's not, but in football circles, he is.
Yes.
Pag siya yung nasa goal, siguradong matraffic ang mga bolang papasok ng goal niya.
He had that legendary performance in the 2012 Suzuki Cup where the Philippines beat Vietnam again. Yung joke daw, traffic sa EDSA.
Traffic sa EDSA. No, and Edsa Capaño, even as an assistant coach, still cuts an imposing figure.
And we also see that he is actually the goalkeeper coach sa ating men's national team.
Yes, and rightly so. I mean, the talent and the grit and that Edsa has shown over the years, he deserves that spot, and he's got a lot of knowledge to impart into whoever goalkeepers the national team will be taking on in the next window. As the rumor mill has been churning out, there are going to be a number of new players coming into the national team. National team manager Freddy Gonzalez has an exciting lineup for the team and for the fans as well for the balance of the year. So watch out for that.
It's been exciting again with this men's national team. Yes, the results didn't show in the last home game here, but we've seen, of course, the moves they've been making in boosting the face of Philippine football.
Yeah, there are going to be a number of foreign-based players coming in, but also a number of current PFL players who might be making the team. I mean, of course, you have current goal tally leader Harvey Gayoso, who's been there before, but there might be some new names announced in the coming days.
We are definitely looking forward to that. Sorry to the viewers. We're not gonna spill it here. Pasensya na. Wait for the official announcement, guys. Mga chismoso dun eh.
Aba, well, you know, nadidiscover natin na mga football fans, gaya ng karamihan ng ating mga kababayan, ay mga likhang marites. Mare, anong latest?
Marites FC.
Marites FC.
Tayo ng page, sir. Here comes the Winter Soldier up against the tank. Whipping it across. That was denied by Cortez. Pwede naman, Tito Dennis, kagiwa yung tawag natin kay Cortez.
Well, okay.
The spark.
The spark.
Sorry, as you were saying.
Kasi pag 47, naalala ko, the original AK-47 was Andrei Kirilenko of the Utah Jazz.
Sakto pa daw, sir. Taga-Russia.
Taga-Russia.
Where AKs made.
Yes, where the AK originated.
So, siyang Filipino, Andrei Kirilenko. Celis, another player with pro experience. His recent stint with Mindiola, but had a significant time with JPV Marikina at Green Archers United FC. As Coscolwela just covered his quadrant. Outside the daw talaga ang tawag dito. As we are 25% into this game, there's a look at Javi Coscolwela gunning for another clean sheet. Now played out from the back. It's great to see Roel Henner again here because I did see him actually in the opening weekend. At sabi mo nun, hanapin natin, interview natin. But he had left by that time, sadly.
Well, baka makausap natin si Roel ngayon kung pagpalain tayo at may pagkakataon, no? But we've had a number of notable guests in the PFL over the weekends. I mean, last week we had Lacnet Pedia, who is an old school name in Philippine football. So, you know, mga Bedia tulad ng mga Saluria, di ba? The Salurias are also a name, as well as the Figueredos. We had the national coach,
Coach Norman.
Coach Norman Figueredo was here with us in the more comfortable section of Rizal in the earlier part of the day.
Monterano, binalik kay Soriano. But the Bedias again here are his nephews. And Coach Elmer actually went straight to the point because of his two nephews playing. Sabi daw, si Roy daw masyadong malakas sa rice. That was his joke. I mean, titos and titas know. Here comes Bernardo on the right wing. Whipping it in.
Yan ang mga ayaw mong kasama sa inuman kasi mahilig masyadong malakas kumain ng mga panulak.
As there's a counter on the right. Hector came up with a stop but a hard challenge here.
Tuloy-tuloy ang gulong ni Kante dun sa kanan.
That's tough, holding on to his right knee. Let's see the replay here. Ano nangyari?
You know, I can understand that it hurts a lot to get hit, but sometimes when you're hurt, an extra roll might hurt you more.
Even more. I'm not saying he did it here, but some players I do know gumugulong palalo to sell the call. I'm not concluding here, but we're just talking about
you
things.
know, again, to continue our theme of talking about football and basketball, I mean, one of the most famous floppers in the local scene is our friend Mick Pinisi.
Oh, yes.
Who took a full 2 seconds to react from a ball being thrown at his head.
That was being shown in the stadium for a month.
That made it to Shackton a fool.
Ayaw nga, no?
It made it all the way to the TNT studios and Shackton a fool.
Nanood ako ng game actually. Ayun nga, 3 weeks later already, they were still showing it. Sarap ng tawa ng buong Coliseum. But here we go, a downed man for Loyola. But thankfully, they do have the 1-0 lead. It is Kante. And he is our goal scorer. Channeling is Ngolo Kante.
Well, if this result holds, that's going to be good for Loyola. They need to get away from that 10th spot. I mean, as the league goes on, it's been a very tight race. It's tight at the top of the table. There have been movements today because of the
other results.
The other results. I mean, there have been a lot of movements this weekend. That Davao and one Taguig draw. You know, both teams. Well, one perspective is that they earned a point. Another one is they dropped 2 points, and both teams had it in them to earn the full 3 points. And that was a very interesting, very heated match last night. I mean, you were here, I was here. We saw a very physical lineup, a very physical matchup. It was physical, but it wasn't dirty. There were flare-ups, but every one of them, you could kind of understand why it happened.
Konting pekunan a bit here and there, and then you'll have your scores with your respective or with your matchups. As Bedia, that was Roy Kent.
Pero, you know, alam mo maganda doon, kahit gaano kainit yung laro, kahit nagkakatulakan na kayo, kahit nagkakasikuhan na kayo. Kagabi, the best example of that were the captains of both teams, Kevin Ingreso and Daisuke Sato, who are good friends off the pitch.
Yes.
You know, who are good friends from the national team. During the match, they were really going at each other. They had a bust
Scuffle,
up.
yeah.
They had a scuffle. There was a scuffle towards the end, but after the match, our executive producer, Sedelf Tupas, saw them having... Daisuke Sato has been having a lot of tender moments throughout this.
Oh, nga eh.
You know, there was one match... uncharacteristic for a Japanese to be so expressive. We don't really know them. We know them to be a very reserved people.
So here's a
But
chance.
Daisuke is... And we see Army getting on the scoreboard.
Oh, John Celis spreading his wings, and he'd like to fly away. You love that passion in him, dito kay John Celis.
Well, John Celis could likely be one of our smallest, if not smallest player in the PFL. But with his lack in height, he has lots of agility and quick feet. Got him around Javi Coscoluela, ruining Javi's clean sheet.
His clean sheet drive for tonight takes a bump. But John Celis, he scored against top PFL teams even years back before the pandemic. And that is why he is always a threat. John Celis picking up his second of the season. Outright the leading scorer actually dito para sa Troopers.
Well, This is their first goal of the season?
It is the third
The
by
third
my
goal.
count already.
Okay.
So heading into this game, sila John Robert Solen at John Celis naka 1 goal each. Scores his second of the season. At ayan na. His second outright leading scorer, Tito.
Alam mo, natatawa ako tuwing tinatawag mo akong tito eh. Kasi parang buong mundo, tito na tawag.
Actually, when I do meet younger players, tawag nila players or some of our colleagues here. Sabi, sir, oh, wait. I just graduated X year. Drop the sir. At least for me, pleading my case. Or shout out sa lead statsman natin, si Enzo. Not calling me sir, not calling me kuya.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kahit nga our graphics guy, si Luis Manzano, is nagugulat ako.
Manabat, yeah.
Si Enzo, tinatawag niya, pinupo niya, tinatawag niya, kuya, parang, Luis, ilang taong ka na ba?
Yes, si Luis Manabat, mind you. Yeah. Not a relative
sorry.
of mine.
Yeah, Luis Manabat,
But
not Luis Manzano.
We are cousins, I will say.
Are you cousins?
Yeah, actually.
It seems like you're cousins with everybody I've ever spoken about.
You actually sound like my classmates. Yun reklamo nila. Why are you related to everyone? Yan ang tanong nila.
Well, ibig sabihin lang nan yung mga lolo mo masisipag.
Do I say props to them, of course. Masaya yung mga family reunion namin actually, when we think of it. And we would like to remind you, given, of course, we have our checkpoint. That Star Polaris is the official match ball of the PFL. Again, it's been holding up through the weather and gives you consistent flight. And here's a chance that they came close again when we refer to the Troopers.
Well, one thing that the Star Polaris ball has given us a lot of this season, Claro, is goals. I mean, this season has seen a lot of goals. There have been double-digit scorelines. But actually, the record for the highest winning margin in professional or semi-professional football in the Philippines is held by Loyola.
Is this the 13-0 result?
This was the 33-0
Ooh,
result
wow,
of
okay.
the then Loyola Meralco Sparks against Blue Guards FC.
Okay.
That was a team that had the young husband brother Simon Greatwich. I think it was Stallion assistant coach Baba Sampana who was their center back at that time. Sorry, Baba Sampana
is the goalkeeper. Okay.
Is the goalkeeper.
When I was looking back, or what I was mentioning, I was referring to PFL. But of course, you're referring to tournaments predating.
I'm referring to, well, you know, the PFL, of course, has its roots in the UFL, which existed about 15, 16 years ago.
Yes.
Started about 16 years ago. And a lot of that, if we're talking about roots, a lot of the roots of where Philippine football is now came from that match, which
extra action there. Looks like
straight yellow card, no hesitation from the referee. Charlie Beaton looked very beaten up.
And kept it in there. Ooh.
Very late, very high, very hard.
And the ball was definitely quite far. Clearly uncontrolled there from Charlie Yancy Beaton.
That wasn't a tank shot. That was more of a lob mortar, given its lack of accuracy to the ball.
I love that, of course, the way it was explained, of course, in military aspects. Because when we covered the Air Force games, pag naka-opening goal sila, sinasabi namin cleared for takeoff. Then yung bola daw dinadala sa danger zone. So I think you gave us our way to explain things in Army perspective. But here comes Charlie Beaton. Beaton and Aristorenas did get to reach the Loyola players.
Oh, and the flashing header from JV Calocara, that he got a bit more head to it than he would have wanted. Those attacking the ball in that position usually want something more glancing to get that ball to the second post, but JV gave it a bit more head than he would have liked, and so the ball went straight. Why are you chuckling, Claro?
I'm not sure. I think I see you chuckling too. But we have our possession at 57-43. Yes, and going back, so Charlie Beaton and Jarel Aristorenas Or tawag natin sa kanila in this returning Loyola team, OGs.
Well, they're the OGs. They're the titas of this team. But way back when, about maybe 12, 14 years ago, they were coming in as 19, 20-year-olds.
Yes.
Charlie Beaton, the only thing that's changed with him is a mustache. Jarrell looks still pretty much the same, not as fast as he was when he first came in. These guys used to terrorize the wings.
Young, fast players.
Young, fast players, a little small, but very, very, very quick.
Yes, here was some contact and physicality again from the troopers.
Well, as British commentators would call it, a bit of afters.
Afters.
A bit of afters, after the ball is gone.
Permission to use that more in the whole season.
This is a season where anything goes, Claro.
Anything goes. And mind you, with what you were saying, the behind the scenes, right? Me as a broadcaster, I really appreciate this, how everything's been able to level up. I might have gained a little weight with our food from the sponsor too, I will admit.
Well, we have the Moment Group to thank for that. I mean, the Moment Group, of course, is the company behind beloved restaurants, Eight Cuts and Manam, which have a huge following out there, and we've been properly nourished every game, lunch and dinner. So thank you for that.
I've made some trips to the restaurants too, actually, lately, thanks to their sponsorship
Yes,
here in the league.
Every weekend here at Rizal, I mean, there's not only the match to look forward to, there are burgers out there. There's burgers, nachos, and onion rings.
Onion rings.
From the Moment Group.
I do threaten my partners pag halftime madalas, tatayo muna ako, bibili ako ng onion rings.
Well, lately on messaging, we've had a bit of back and forth with our friend at what's there called, Half Space.
Ah, yes.
Diego Javier. You know, I've been giving him my quote-unquote expert predictions before some matches.
You've been giving yours.
Oh yes, oh yes. So a shout out to them. A shout out as well to our friends at Philippine Football Fans United, of course, and Philippine Football Hub.
Yes.
I mean, behind us we have Raf Serafin, who's a fixture also. I'm very proud and I'm very fond of this young man. I mean, he's a graduating student in FEU High School. I was surprised. I mean, I've read his articles. He comes to every match, whether it's PFL or UAAP, and he managed to pass in BS Mathematics in UP and Applied Physics in Ateneo. Courses I would never even try to get into.
Actually, same. Copy paste that.
Because
A rocket taken though, close but not quite by Restorenas.
okay, so Army on the receiving end of some long-range artillery from Loyola from Loyola FC. Old habits die hard.
Gotta pay tribute, of course, to their roots, we could say, as we see our replay.
Yes, and you know, we have very fond memories of Loyola Meralco Sparks and you know, other clubs like Kaya also, which have strong youth programs. You know, so last night you had Enzo with you, and these were players that came up through those academies. Enzo got to play for both Loyola and Kaya. Here on the current Loyola FC lineup, we see players like again like Will Winter came through that program, and you know, Claro, what sets it apart that day, and probably also why there were more people back then, and we hope to see more people back here, was that coaches of the first teams were the ones coaching the kids.
The coaches themselves.
The coaches themselves. And I think that's also the same for Loyola FC at the very least here.
The players, I can say, like
Yeah,
Charlie Beaton also.
Charlie coaches in Southridge, Javi
Yes.
also coaches there.
There's actually James Hall also, one of the assistants of Coach Roxy.
Yes,
A
James
Southridge
Hall.
and Loyola coach. James Hall, actually. A former player too. When he came in, he
Yes.
did say Coach Roxy was the third assistant, and guess who's calling them to come back? Head coach ng si Coach Roxy in the return.
Yeah, so we see there a handball from Will Winter, and Will, being the good boy that he is, had a guilty look after his hand touched the ball.
Huling huli.
Huling hule, hand on ball.
And the Winter Soldier, of course, will carry on.
That's a very appropriate moniker for Will. I mean, he's a very chill lad.
I actually just took that from the movies, actually.
But he is very chill. I mean, he's not never one to show too much emotion. But he's able to get his kills, like the Winter Soldier.
Thank you, Tito, for justifying the nickname. Are we allowed to mention characters, actually?
Oh, like I said, anything goes.
Anything goes. The Winter Soldier, yung tropa ni Captain America. That's
Yes.
him, that's Bucky.
Bucky Barnes.
Yes. So, sino yung Falcon dito? I mean, we'll just let it roll
Well,
to find out.
hintayin natin yung laban ng Air Force para maghanap tayo ng ibon doon.
As they try to give it over to Teddy Travis. Kalukaran from his range! A little over the bar though, but the fans were feeling that one.
So you see JV Caloocaran taking a shot from the top of the box, and that's really not very typical of left wing backs. You usually see them running through their channel on the left, not cutting in so much. But JV this season has had that license.
He's also scored from the left wing nung AFC Cup in his recent stint with Stallion. That's why he gives them so much experience, along with Aristorenas and Charlie Beaton, those three guys.
Yeah, I mean, JV is a great player. And
Here comes Winter versus the Tank.
And the tank wins against the Winter Soldier.
I'd like to keep a tally there. Ganda yung matchup nila.
Ha.
Jalsor Soriano, an experienced man too. He did play for Loyola too, if I recall correctly. A long stint, or he had a good stint with Kaya also.
Yeah, so occasionally, well, when Army wasn't participating, they might have lent their players to other clubs. But now this is really a purely Army team, and by purely Army, they are either enlisted, or if they're civilians, they are in the process of enlisting.
I see.
Army, since its inception, has been known to recruit far and wide. No, what Army and the other armed forces teams offer is for players not just to be able to play and be discovered, but also have a career in the armed forces.
As we have a whistle in the middle. And with that, of course, we did emphasize that it is common, or it's a given. Military teams have very fit players because, again, these are the people who protect our country, and a salute to them.
Yes, and I was just texting the other day with Brigadier General Camilo Ligayo of the Eastern Command, and na-take down na naman si Kante doon sa may kanto. Yellow card. Si Cortez, number
The spark.
47. Well, si Cortez has developed a reputation of being the enforcer of this Army team. We've seen it in several games. A lot of the dust-ups, a lot of the flare-ups, a lot of the extras come from AK-47. So,
Kaya nga pala.
maya't maya, pinuputokan niya yung mga kalaban. At,
Mamaya, alam na.
yung mga paputok niya ay madalas tumatama ng masakit.
And we see, of course, nakadilaw na siya, may yellow card. So, kailangan niya mag-relax ng konti, maingat.
Well, yellow card in the first half kind of takes a bit of the edge off your knife for the rest of the match.
As here comes the service from the right wing. Looks like Wade tried to go for it, but we see Asare. Was cleared off by Ago Ariola. Ago Ariola, yung target man nila. Trying to drop down, or dropping down to help also in case. But it stays with Loyola. When we were talking about Army, actually, Tito Dennis, Coach Boogie Margarza is also a miracle in Hanoi Askal, as we've said so many times, because we cannot emphasize or stop stressing the role that he and the team played back in 2010. And Coach Boogie actually did get playing time in that game versus Vietnam.
Okay, Bidia coming out way off his line, but Loyola cannot capitalize. William Winter couldn't get purchase on that shot.
Beaten to Kalukaran. They will reset.
Nope, not a good cross from JV. Intercepted, and the other JV, or Javi, actually on that side, coming out from his box.
Wade gets his pocket picked by Celis. Coscolwella, here's a slide. An own goal at first denied, but eventually sent into the back of the net by Ago Ariola.
Ago Ariola giving Philippine Army its first lead in this season of the Philippine Football League. And you know, Claro, today is actually the midpoint of the season.
Yes, match week number 7 as we see the replay right here. The slide from Hector, he was on target. Coscolwella stopped it. Pero nandun si Ago Ariola. Actually, yung isang game tawag ko sniper. But the ball might have passed the line actually when Coscolwella got his glove. Pero posible, it did not completely cross. So Ariola insurance.
Looking at our replays, it doesn't look like it fully crossed. I mean, we don't have goal line technology yet in the Philippines. We will, though, soon have VAR, but there's a long debate. There's a broader debate about VAR.
Yes.
But for the next season, we're looking to have VAR in the Philippines. But that looks like it didn't cross. Javi did what he could, reached back, clawed it out, but the attacking Army player took out his sidearm and, small shot just to get it to the back of the net.
I was actually going to ask you, yung isang game tawag ko sa kanya, sniper eh. Bilang lead striker at target man.
Nasa loob lang ng 6-yard box ng
Madali.
tira na yun, so small arms lang ang ginamit doon.
Duly noted there. But of course, Ariola, another experienced pro player. He's been able to score against national team players in this stage, so it's no surprise he's doing it.
No, but Javi's going to be pissed at this. Oh, I'm sorry. Javi is going to be very upset at his back line. You know, Wade took his time clearing that ball, got his pocket picked, and left his goal and goalkeeper exposed.
Nawala nga yung clean sheet earlier because John Celis found the back of the net. What more, Ago Ariola gave the Philippine Army troopers the lead. So 4 minutes of additional time as confirmed by our 4th official, na si Timothy De Castro. Tandaan din natin, Army only have 5 subs on the bench due to the suspensions and a great number of players being unavailable.
This is new territory for Army. They, like I mentioned, they haven't led at any match at any point of this season. So let's see how they handle having a lead.
And actually, when they secured their first point of the season last week versus Mindiola, undermanned sila. When I was referring to first point, of course, it was a draw that allowed them to get 1 point to add to their standings.
Well, you know, like you mentioned, they were undermanned, but we call them the troopers, and being the troopers that they are, they do the best with what they've got. If they have 16, 17 people on the bench, that's who they're going to war with.
And actually, over the course of the season, Coach Boogie did say he's getting into shape just in case. Kulang daw sila sa mga players.
Well, Coach Boogie Margarce, gaya na kinuwento niya sa atin before the match, no, he's a 28 years
of service.
In the Philippine Army. So, you know, if he suits up, he's going to take the award of being the oldest player and take it away from Tito Anton del Rosario at 42 years old.
Kulang na lang, babalik si Armand. But Armand said no, of course. I spoke to him before actually. Sabi niya, dude, no! Hanggang rec league na lang daw si Armand, of course. A colleague, of course. A commentator also.
I think Armand del Rosario has found his calling the LaSalle matches.
Very interesting you put it that way.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Hi, Armand. I hope you're doing well.
As Coscolwella gets the stop now, they do have their work cut out. They have, or Loyola did score once, but Army were able to overpower them. They'll try to run this offense now. Surveying their options. Kalukaran playing narrow. Couldn't get it to Beaton because he was fouled by Soriano.
Okay, so even in the middle of the pitch, we see JV Kalukaran, and there he was fouled in a more central position than a typical left back would find him in. So that it looks like that is an assignment that's been given to him, or license that he's been awarded by Coach Roxy Dorlas.
And because of that, kita nga natin si David Asares, ang foreign player nila. Center mid pero nagda-drop down dito. Pero umangat lang ngayon ng konti.
So Coach Roxy, apart from being a national team player and being a former Loyola Meralco Sparks, he's also one of those from, we can say that Coach Aris Kaslib brought up. And we see a number of those coaches,
Yes.
the San Beda boys. I mean, Coach Roxy was a San Beda boy. The game before this, we
Coach
had
Pong Liman.
Coach Pong Liman, who was a San Beda boy. Menjola, of course, is there, and they're mostly staffed and the roster filled out by San Beda.
Yes. San Beda, a storied program in the NCAA here in the Philippines. Also the champions. As we saw that high ball, Ariola tried to slug it out against Django Hector. But there you go. We do have our halftime whistle. It is 2-1 para sa Philippine Army Troopers. Loyola did get off to a strong start behind or courtesy of that goal from Kante from the right wing. No angle, but made it work, and it entered or curled into the back of the net. But John Celis and Ago Ariola were hustling hard, and that is where we find ourselves at the moment. And we'll be back after a short break to bring you yung mga highlights and statistics. We come to you from our halftime break right here in the Philippines, in this Philippines Football League matchup between the Philippine Army FC Troopers and Loyola FC. 2-1 with Loyola giving us the opener behind Kante, but the dynamic duo of John Celis and Ago Ariola gave the Troopers the lead. Action aplenty here, also very physical. We saw Loyola start strong, but Army bounced back, but that's what we saw when we refer to a strong start, as Yok Besite did challenge Javi Coscolhuela, and it's been quite a treat right here so far, Tito Dennis.
So we see the fast feet over there of the Army, the little Army striker, the little sidearm, getting a shot in close into the back of the net.
John Celis did test Javi Coscolhuela also afterwards, but here was Charlie Beaton as he was just decked quite hard by Monterano.
The sort of tackle that leaves a mark.
Memories, we could say, of sorts, if it leaves a mark.
Oh, we were playing in the day when metal studs were more common.
Oh, as there was goal number 2 for the Troopers. Ago Ariola and Army capitalizing and forcing Loyola to make a mistake. And
So-
credit to them.
Yeah, it's good to see Army finally leading in a match. Sorry to see it at the expense of Loyola, but Coach Roxy Darlas is a very competitive man. He will not be quiet in that dugout. He's got a very scary scowl when up against the wall, and I'm sure these Loyola boys will get an earful from Coach Roxy. Let's see how they come out for the second half of this match.
We do see 75% shooting accuracy for Army and 25 only for Loyola, who have gotten less shots up and less shots on target. Fouls and yellow cards. Army have been really utilizing them and racking them up. That's why some players will need to be careful as we speak and enter the second half. Let's see if Coach Boogie will be making some changes when we refer to that. Pero yung mahalaga dito para sa Troopers is searching for that insurance goal. Knowing Coach Boogie, knowing anybody, of course, any coach, a one-goal lead is not enough. And we'd like to remind you, of course, that the PFL, or we are powered by 8 Cuts Burgers. I wonder if the store actually is open so we can get some onion rings from 8 Cuts.
So nagpaparinig ho kami dyan kung merong parating galing sa labas ng Rizal Memorial, dumaan muna kayo sa tent ng Moment Group dyan sa labas. At si Boss Claro naghahanap ng onion rings. But 75% shooting accuracy from Army. That means they they've been putting in their time, their range time, and getting shots down range, and they've responded to the call of Coach Boogie Margarce to convert their chances.
So, as we see some changes, actually, it looks like 30 Closas entered the game. But, of course, job's not done here for the Troopers, and Loyola have their work cut out and want to bounce back.
Okay, Bernardo Closa III coming in at the right back position. And, well, the first attack of the first goal of Loyola, of Philippine Army FC, did come from that right back position. JV Calocara not likely to be the wingback substituted at any point. And Calocaren is a player of enough quality to hold his spot for 90 minutes. We've seen him in Stallions before. Again, maybe it's also a testament to how deep Stallion and how Stallion is trying to arm up for this edition of the PFL. That a player of JV Calocaran's quality can't hold a spot there. That saw him transfer to Loyola. Good for Loyola. He's been good defensively. He scored goals for them, which is unexpected again from a left back. So let's see if he's able to lead his team back from this 2-1 deficit.
Aristorenas took a bit of a hit, but is away from the ball. Travis, they'll try to cycle it.
Okay. Jarell Aristorenas is a very skilled player. It's a bit of a new experience to see him in the middle. He's more of a wing player when he first came into the pro ranks in the Philippines. Not only is he a very good and skilled football player on the pitch, he's also a very skilled football
Esports, right.
player.
He did remind us in one game to talk about that. That's why when he scored later in that half, we were telling, or yung sabi namin, nag R1 circle ata. Sabi namin ni Kendrick Soriano.
Well, alam mo, tito na ako, so hindi ko na alam kung yung pinipindot sa PlayStation. Ang alam ko lang, yung cheat code dati sa Nintendo, yung up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start.
Okay. I think si Kuya Enzo could tell you about the R1 circle in FIFA. Multi-talented pala yung mga players, di ba, ng Loyola. As here was a ball into the box that Coscolwela did collect. But cheaply given away. Regalo dito, Yok Besite and company will try to pounce.
So Coscolwela will want to try to keep it clean. That was a studs-up challenge. Referee waves play on.
It's not often we see troopers, of course, get decked, but here comes Selly's space to operate. Somebody's in the box. Will he find a teammate? Busbuhay stopped done from the back line. It looks like it was Wade. Here comes Kante.
Cortez, not surprisingly, putting his body in the way. And he is a player who has no second thoughts.
Talk about commitment there, as we see on the replay. Kante has really gotten frustrated.
Well, you know, I've not gotten to know a lot of the Army players, but this player, Cortez, every game, you can trust him to put in a physical challenge whenever necessary. Occasionally a bit more physical than is needed, but that's his character, that's his trademark as a player. So he's going with it for this season.
As we have a free kick here. When you refer to him, of course, Army did have a gallant stand versus United City, holding them goalless after about 65, 70 minutes.
Well, one that is testament to Army's defensive capabilities, but it's also indicative maybe of a lack of scoring strength on UCFC. I mean, in the previous match, they did finish 10-0. But
yes,
for a very nervous stretch to start the match, they weren't converting.
I did see in the updates that they did start slow.
And you know, in this season where you have 15 teams and you have 15 teams of wildly varying capability and wildly varying strengths, sometimes the character of a strong team is not just how they play in the big games, but how they're able to keep their level of play, their intensity, their sharpness up against a much weaker team. So that earlier game saw UCFC versus Manila Monte. Manila Monte, as many of our followers know, is languishing at the bottom of the table. This is their first season, and as they've said, they've gone with an all-Filipino lineup. But you know, as this Army team shows, this Army team is all Filipino.
Also, yes, to add Philippine Air Force, also Tuloy
Philippine
FC.
Air Force, Tuloy FC are all Filipino. So that's rather an odd calling card to go with to determine the character of your team.
Yes, sir, I definitely, yes, Tito, I get where you're coming from. As they will roll the dice again, Celis will try to get past Closa.
So
Closa with that challenge. Di rin siya natatakot dito.
well, medyo ito si 30 may even as a college player, 30 just recently graduated last year from the Ateneo de Manila University, where he played under Coach JP Merida. He's not one who is afraid to get in there. But as we were telling Coach Boogie Margarce, baka naman itong henerasyon na to ng Army players, kailangan din magpakilala eh. Diba? Kailangan magpakilala, kailangan malaman ng mga kalaban nila, sino ba talaga ang Army? Paano ba maglaro yan? Dapat ba tayong umatras dyan? Diba? Or kaya ba nating mamain yung mga yan?
Like what you said, so they will introduce themselves so that when their opponents step on the pitch, huy, sila to, nakakatakot yung kalaban.
Yes, and that's what one should expect from an Army team. I mean, these are all, as we mentioned, these are all enlisted men.
Yes.
These are all men who have seen action in the harshest conditions against hostile forces at times. 'Di ba? So, kung magpakita sila ng konting bangis, dapat lang naman talaga.
And Army, of course, as we know, we're away from top flight football for a while. So, given their return, pwede nga natin sabihin, kailangan nila ibalik ang angas dito sa troopers.
Well, just like Army is needing to find its character in this new PFL. I mean, a lot of the new teams, not just Monte but also Garelli. What does it mean to be here in the PFL? Basta ba nagpasok tayo ng 11 manlalaro, pwede na tayong lumaban? And in the middle of the season, that's not the case. You cannot just show up to the PFL. The football has been good. I mean, the matches between the top teams have been very entertaining, very, very technical, but when necessary, also physical. Diba? And these new teams, it's an eye-opener for them and a necessary one. In the coming season, as has been said, likely the top 10 teams will be retained. Where do the bottom 5 teams go? And mukhang magkakaroon ng second division ng Philippine Football League next season. I mean, we've received inquiries from clubs far and wide. Zamboanga FC,
Wow.
one of them. So that would be good. And the league in the coming months, in the coming years, it will evolve. I mean, people have said there are varying opinions of how it should go. People said they need to go to communities. There are people like our friend. Let's break on that thought as Will
Winter
Winter takes a
Soldier.
shot. The Winter Soldier shot hits Captain Philippines' shield on that instance. Bidia.
Mark Anthony Badia, he lets his playing do the talking. Siya yung man of the match in their last game.
Yep.
And they
Mark
had
Anthony Bidia got a big leg in the way of Will Winter's shot. Caromed away. And now Army trying to attack. 30 Closa losing the ball. But putting in a physical challenge. 30 Closa gets called for a foul. But yun ang gusto mong makita eh.
yan pinapakita niya sa troopers na hindi siya takot.
Hindi ka takot. Saka alam mo naghahabol ka eh. 2-1. So ano pang ipapakita mo?
There's a reason why the fans call him Mr. Tigas, actually.
Ayun ba tawag kay 30?
Yan ang tawag nila. Yeah, so let's just say that's the part of their chant. Yeah.
Okay.
Kaya naging fan favorite.
May hihirit sana ako pero okay, Mr. Tigas. Good for him.
Yok Besite played that one short. Medyo nagulat nga tayo dun. In the mix, Travis. Dispossesses Dorimon, yung center back ng Army who tried to get forward. Pero may konting traffic dito sa gitna. Army just clearing it the other way.
So, coming into this game, Loyola were regarded as the favorites. But Army, when your back's against the wall, that's when character should shine through. And Army having that proud tradition that dates back all the way to 1960, and being the soldiers that they are, being the warriors that they are, that's not something, those opinions are not something they're going to take sitting down. Diba, lalaban at lalaban yan. As
Winter couldn't frame it.
Couldn't frame it.
Yes.
The ball had gone past Mark Anthony Bedia. Winter got laces to that ball, but he was leaning back, and the shot goes way, way over the bar. Oh, it looks like it hit shin, actually.
In disbelief, because they practiced that on the training ground. Both teams, of course, when they miss situations or in situations like that, they're in disbelief because they've practiced it.
But the more you watch Will Winter, that's as much of a reaction as you're going to see from Will.
As you said, yes,
That's it.
a very cool guy.
He's a very cool guy, very reserved. I mean, he's very competitive, but he doesn't let too much show. I would hate to play poker against this kid.
He lets us playing do the talking. Actually, parehas nga din si Mark Anthony Badia, as I said, yung man of the match last week for them. As there's the duel in the middle. And we saw David Asare just send it forward, but another trooper down. And we've had to say that a number of times na rito ngayong gabi sa Rizal Memorial Stadium.
Well, being the troopers that they are, they get back up.
As we see Mark Anthony Badia riding that wave of confidence. And of course, again, as they are relatives of Elmer Lacnet Badia, they do hail from Iloilo. No surprise na kay Closa ngayon, binigay kay Kante. Kante pa rin, running into his best friend.
Well, all this time, Lacnet still has his dreadlocks going for him.
Kaya tawagan natin the man, the myth, the legend last week.
Oh, and we see a good ball over the top.
Keeper off his line. Ago Ariola contra JV Kalukaran. Ariola pa rin. And it is a goal kick. Kalukaran prevailing there over the experienced striker.
Well, Celis taking the option to pass to his teammate. Would he have been better served on taking one more touch and setting himself up for the shot?
Possibly, given that scenario.
Possibly, but he was also very wide. And his teammate was running a more central channel. So, majority of the time, the pass was the right thing to do.
And as we know, of course, yung dalawa dun, si Celis at Ariola, do have a great connection or understanding with one another, playing together for a long time. Besite contra Beaton. Charlie got it over wide. Still with Kante. The cross now. Winter Soldier sends it in, giving the Troopers a run for their money. And that is why he's up front. Cool, calm, and collected. And as he said, a reserved person. And on the pitch, lets us playing, do the talking. The Loyola fans in their half of the stadium in the grandstand, loving it. As we see the replay right here, naka-fiesta si Winter. Nobody there to mark him. Walang shield.
Walang shield. Wala si Captain America doon. But William Winter, his height, his leaping ability, getting him enough of a head and shoulder above the Army defense, above tank, to get that header right in frame over Mark Anthony Badia.
And as we see now, Winter's really been able to rack up the goals now. Well, we see that sense of urgency between the two teams.
So, ayan. Umiinit ang laban. Alam mo, ang Army ngayon lang nakatikim ng lamang. Tignan natin kung aangat pas, kung may iaangat pa ang laro nila. Diba, nandun eh. Mananalo na sana sila. May 3 points na sana sila. Although matagal pa yung laban na to. Pero having tasted that lead, will they want it back?
William Winter finding goal number 3 this season. Big one from him. 30 more minutes remaining. All to play for here. We're really unable to separate the two teams at the moment.
You know, for this match, Philippine Army has upped their game. Passing accuracy is at 83%, which has been very high for them in comparison to their previous matches. So there's a bit more discipline, a bit more mindfulness in what they're doing. Loyola FC.
They throw this one forward, but to no avail. Perhaps konting gigil, as we say. But Badia will just try to neutralize a bit of the momentum. Long ball off of Wade. The Troopers trying to get it now. Aristorenas made that probing run. You see the press. Over the top, or the long ball. Closa. Asare. Travis. Dispossessed by Yok Besite, the veteran. Ito na si Ago Ariola.
Not a good job protecting that ball from the Loyola FC 6. Playing that holding mid or defensive mid position. And that's really a very dangerous area to lose the ball. I mean, any coach out there will not like it if your 6 is the one that loses the ball, because that's a position that's often called the stopper. You're there to protect your 2 center backs, and if you lose the ball, your center backs are left exposed.
Because if a team will get it from their hard work or a press, they'll get a goal scoring opportunity, most likely.
Yep.
On a silver platter.
If you're pressed that high, that means that your opponent has support on the wings also, and running down the central channel. Bidia challenged by Will Winter. Will couldn't get there fast enough. That was a race that Mark Anthony Bidia won.
Pero muntik na dun.
Montik na, malapit na, konti na lang eh. Gabuhok na lang, nandun na si Will Winter.
That close.
That close.
Beaten kay Travis. Dispossessed now. Yok Besite unleashing Army with the long ball. Benatorito, Coscoluela. Nasa labas ng goalkeeper box. Still keeping it on the ground now. But it's won. Celis!
Celis with artillery fire from 30 yards out. Not enough gunpowder behind that shot. Didn't bother Javi Coscoluela at all. And we've got a bit of...
That's a shove from Will Winter. As we saw his teammate down. It is Kante, I think.
Cortez leaving another mark. Is that Kante who's down?
Yes.
Okay, well, Cortez doing Cortez things.
He's been
Bam.
shutting down Kante.
Okay, Kante was holding his head, but Cortez seemed to get him in the midsection.
So let's check again here. Ooh.
Oh, Kante's head. Kante's head did do a bit of rebound.
That's gotta hurt, of course. And Will Winter just coming up with a foul there already also. Possibly to stop play. But 2 players down. And is it possible naka-shock cramps naman ito si AK-47?
Well, Kante looking like couldn't quite see where the Loyola physios were treating him. A Loyola physio there had his hand behind his neck. Maybe a bit of whiplash.
Whiplash, as we know, can be tough in the head. But let's see. We did get a short look there at our replay. We do see Cortez, the left back, and
Sure.
Kante, the right wing.
Cortez looking well, putting some effort into showing that he got hurt in that play as well. And you know, I always tell you, Claro, we call it as we see it. And in many matches that we've seen, when a defender puts in a crunching challenge, they'll also project a bit of injury on themselves. Also because Cortez is on a yellow card. So imagine if he walked proudly away from that challenge.
Alam na, posible magkadilaw ulit.
Medyo diba? So kung medyo umaaray-aray, oh, and the long-range shot from number 99, Desena, Ryan Anthony Desena, taking his chance. That wasn't far away. That was maybe a foot to the left of the upright. Got Javi Coscoluela worried there for a while. It was close enough and curving in such a way that forced Javi into a dive to his right side.
Muntik na doon, the troopers again showing this effort. They'll always make sure to put up a fight.
Okay, there, Claro, we see, Army putting in a cross, a high cross, given their height, given the difference of their height to Loyola. Loyola clearly has the better players. Is that the best thing to do?
Well, they do have some players who are taller, but if we average it out,
No, not by
Baka
far.
hindi.
They're a good on average.
some players are taller, but konti lang eh.
On average, they're 3 to 4 inches shorter than Loyola.
If we look at the whole team.
If you look at the whole team.
Right.
Now, what we saw in the last Women's World Cup, the Japanese national team was famous for not taking a long corner. They kept everything on the ground because, well, they recognize, hey, we're much shorter than the opponent. A high ball is just going to get an opponent's head to it. Let's find another way.
Kasi in that situation, sayang lang yung corner kick.
Sayang lang yung
Ibabato
corner
lang.
kick eh. May corner ka na, nandun ka na in the attacking third. Again, another high corner, which looks like Wade got into it. Got onto it, rather.
But yes, Army is shorter on average. One player who's tall, but again, one player is not enough, right?
No.
It's always going to be tough. Si Ago Ariola, but I guess they'll still take their chances. They're gonna go for it. Yung obvious, Tuloy FC, much smaller players,
Much smaller
always
players.
playing short.
Yep. I mean, and that's again, that shows Coach Suzuki's capabilities as a coach and recognizing, and maybe a bit of a nod to the Japanese system that Coach Suzuki came up through.
Yes, and just in connection with what you were saying, yung Women's World Cup.
Yep.
Here's a chance na pero offside daw ang tawag.
So that's a situation where, if you have deficiencies, you recognize what they are and you find other options. As they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting different results. Just in that last 2 minutes, we saw Army try the same thing twice, hoping for a different result. But that wasn't in the offing. You have Wade, who looks like he's at least 6'2".
Towering, yes. But in that scenario, maybe Army are just putting everything on Ago Ariola. As we said again, you can't just rely on one guy. It's a
That's
team
not gonna
sport.
cut it.
As Coscolwella gets this.
That's not going to cut it. As Javi Coscolwella cuts that cross out, that low cross. Will either team be happy with a draw? It doesn't serve them. A draw doesn't serve these guys any. They will want to win. Loyola right now is at 10th. They are the last ranked team from what will likely be retained in the first division.
Number 10, yes.
They're the lowest ranked team in that middle third pack. They fancy themselves better than that. So let's see. I mean, it's also one thing to fancy yourself as having a certain stature in the standings, and it's another thing to have the actual ability and materials to realize where you envision yourself to be.
Understandably, of course, with Loyola, a returning team and their proud history. Roy Kent Bedia combining Celis.
Oh, 30
Coscolwella.
Closa, bad control there. Celis getting a shot off. Wade standing strong. Charlie Beaton, take it out. Kante attacking who was once hurt Cortez.
Two best friends, Kante and Cortez, in ngayong laro.
Well, tignan natin after 90 minutes kung nagkapalitan na sila ng muka.
Abangan nga natin yung shake hands nila mamaya. But again, 15 teams, each will play 14 games. It's a sprint, of course, ngayong Philippines Football League.
Alam mo, late challenge. Late challenge from behind there from Bisite, from Rick Bisite. So we were talking about Kante and Cortez. Kagabi it was Daisuke Sato and Kevin Ingreso. So after the match, hinalikan pa ni Daisuke Sato si Kevin Ingreso.
Pero tropa sila actually
Yeah,
from
tropa
the
sila.
previous
Pero
years.
gusto ko makita kung hahalikan ni Cortez si Kante.
Let's see. Tito, tanong ko lang again, how many cameras do we have? So we have a better chance of
Okay,
spotting that.
we have 8 cameras operating on most matches. And when games are in Cebu, we have 4 cameras there. Games in Iloilo have 3 to 4 cameras. We're giving the fans more angles, and some of those cameras, so we call them cameras 5 and 6. They're the ones on the ground, and they're the ones that dapat hinahanap nila kung sino yung mga pinaka-poging player dyan.
And we do see a free kick. We did see Frank Ano step in, actually, a player who just concluded his UAAP career, as we see him now trying to inject life. There are two big players who actually stepped in. We do see Sidibe and Frank Ano.
Okay, so Frank Ano, as you called it a few weeks ago, and you were wondering when Frank Ano would see action, yeah, for Loyola FC, given that he has just finished his playing eligibility for the De La Salle Green Archers in
Yes.
the UAAP under Coach Alvin Ocampo. Of course, Frank Ano was their striker,
Their lead man in the attack and
their
leading
lead
scorer.
man in the attack. Bedia scrambling off his line to cut out that what was an attempted low pass into the danger area.
Great combination there
Yep.
with the likes of Desena and Roy Kent Bedia.
Oh, we also saw Rupert. That looks like Rupert
Banya, yes.
who's come into the middle. That's also not Rupert's typical position. He was more of a winger in his college career for the Ateneo de Manila University via La Salle Canlubang.
And Rupert Banya also did find the back of the net already this season. I believe we're actually batchmates. So when I was covering my school and they would play against Ateneo, Rupert Banya would be there.
Okay, so if Rupert is your batchmate, you are within your rights to call me Tito.
Lick the
Headed
stamp and
on.
send it, yes.
Headed on to the right wing of Army. Does he have enough? Are there reinforcements coming for this attack?
Well, it's about a 3-on-4, naging 3-on-6. Army playing a little safe, actually.
So Cell is now playing a little wider in this second half.
And here comes Sidibe now, one of their subs. Frank Ano was asking for it on a run.
He was asking for it and he should have gotten it. But the attack of Loyola is still on.
Dun daw sa kabila. But it was no good. Banya. Aristorenas. Kalukaran on the left. The cross was going for Sidibe. Couldn't keep it in, pero offside na daw.
So we have a substitution coming in for Philippine Army FC. That looks like it's number 14, John Art Lunaspe, coming in for number
For
31
Roy Bedia.
for Roy Bedia, Roylet Bedia.
Army again, tandaan natin, only have 5 subs on the bench, and that includes 1 goalkeeper in John Kent Delariarte, who actually played for Air Force before. There are Delariartes, or there are the Delariarte brothers ngayon in Philippine Air Force, actually. No surprise that they are related to the Delariarte here in the Army.
Alam mo, sa sarap ng kwentuhan natin, klaro, hindi natin napansin may ilang subs na for Loyola na pumasok. So that was Rupert Banya,
Frank,
Third Closa, and Frank Ano. So that's 3 subs. Or there was a 4th sub.
yes, there's Usmane Sidibe, who also entered the game.
And our floor director is indicating there were 5 who've come in. And that leaves another 2 possible substitutes for Coach Roxy Dorlas and Loyola FC.
As we have about 15 minutes remaining now, do you expect the flow of this game to change, Tito, given the scenario here? 2-2, both teams have been able to find the back of the net. They'd have their shades of brilliance.
Well, with 15 minutes to go, that's still a lot of time in football. I mean, that's still a lot of time for either team to get a result. Not that the draw is not a result, but it's not the result that anyone hopes for, or at least anyone who plays positive football hopes for.
So here's a chance now on the further end, getting in, taking it. And it goes out for a corner. It looks like it was denied by Mark Anthony Bedia. What a shot from Vincent Saludo. And he was the fifth man who entered earlier also. So a corner, and as we were dissecting earlier, Loyola as a team have an advantage in terms of height versus the Philippine Army Troopers. Kita nga natin si JV Calucara ng corner kick taker ngayon. It will be an in-swinger. This one taken too long, but they hope to keep it in. Army will just try to get the stop, of course, in this scenario. Of another trooper, corner daw ulit. Sa kabila naman. And this game has been another grind for both teams. Will it be a grind-it-out win for Loyola or Army? Actually, ganun din kanina with Manila Digger and Tuloy FC.
You know, these types of games at this point of the season, it's a test of character. Football is a game of tactics. Football is a game of athleticism. But it's also a game of character. I mean, playing for 90 minutes is not easy. And as we say, you know, when you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone. And that's how football is.
The beautiful game.
The beautiful game. And that was a reference to the poem If by Rudyard Kipling.
Brilliant stuff.
Which at one point in my life I could recite in 30 seconds or less.
Graded ba yan in school?
That's a story for another day.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, we have a season, Tito, to find out about that. As they try to drive it in. Naku ulit ni Bedia.
Yes, and if the UP Manila football team coach Yano Ibarreta is watching and he hears me recite that poem, he knows what I'm referring to.
Interesting. Sana nasa comment section siya actually. What are the chances though?
Well, you know, some of our stat takers here are players of Coach Yano. I mean, these young men and women are part of the UP Manila football team. So dalawa na ang UP MFT ngayon. You know, there's the men's football team and there's the UP Manila football team.
I love it, of course.
They're trying to get it started down the road from where we are now.
Coscolwella with the clearance. Saludo. Couldn't get it, but it's with Rupert Banya. Now on the left with Calucaran. Banya making a run in the center. And it's taken by AK Cortez. Celis contra Closa.
Turned the wrong way there, the Army attacker. If he had turned to the outside, he has a clear run down the left flank.
Here comes Sidibe, but it was denied by the tank. Actually, I just wanted to share also when you were saying that Rupert Banya is a winger. During the times I did cover him, yung naalala ko striker, but maybe he was shifted around also
Striker,
during his
winger.
career.
Well, yes, he played for the Ateneo Blue Eagles at a time when Harvey Gayoso was, of course, there,
Yes.
and Harvey was their goal scorer. But Harvey would also be brought out wide to the wing.
Here's a cross in and the goal. And look who it is. He's back for Loyola, but it's his PFL debut. Frank Ano.
That somersault from Frank Ano gives me and Enzo Lucindo nightmares. We've seen him do it more than once. Frank Ano bringing his talents to the Rizal Memorial Stadium and the Philippine Football League. Together among his talents, that somersault. And the goal there.
Sidibe finding him, Frank Ano.
Without hesitation into a somersault, which earns tens from the gymnastics judges.
And given we have our team statisticians, I want to ask, may metric ba tayo dun, Tito, dito sa Excel sheet?
Oh, for quality of gymnastics skills?
Yes.
Well, of all the people who would be reluctant to put in that stat would be our lead statistician, Enzo Lucindo. You know, He's had his battles with Frank Ano in the UAAP and other preseason tournaments. And in fact, the first time we saw Frank do that somersault was in a preseason game that was held in Lasal, Canlubang, a very beautiful campus out there.
We do say it's his first goal in the PFL because last time Ano played for Loyola was in the Copa. That was an
Copa.
open tournament, of
Yes,
course.
that
He
was
did
a-
not lose his amateur status.
Yes, and as you said last night, that was a tournament that saw a number of collegiate teams play, and the effect on them has been tremendous. I mean, last night you also spoke about, or Enzo spoke about, wishing that UAAP players would be allowed to a certain extent to play in the PFL. That's something that the PFF, the PFL, and the UAAP under Rebo Sagisag, I think, are in discussions with. From a development perspective, it said that a player should get around 40 to 50 competitive matches in a year. And if you're playing exclusively in the UAAP, you're coming no close to that.
Minimum 12 games only
You're
for
getting
UAAP
12
teams.
games.
And what
You-
more? Oh, yeah, sorry.
You get 12 games in the UAAP, you play Ang Liga or some other leagues, maybe you get another 10 to 15 games, that's 27, right? And that lack of development is really telling in our under 23, under 21, under 19 teams. You need to get competitive matches in to be competitive yourself.
Of course, competitive matches, hindi lang yung mga friendly.
No, we're
It
not
has to be
talking about
this.
friendlies. We're not
Yes.
talking about scrimmages. We're talking about officiated competitive games where something is at stake. Because, running suicides might be something at stake, but it's still not anything close to coming up against an opponent that wants to beat you.
It's a
Diba?
lot different, yes, with implications, the stands with fans, the cameras here, the lights on,
Sure.
going through the motions also, everything.
Yeah, and that Copa experience, I mean, the team that improved the most out of that Copa experience was actually Adamson. Adamson University was, for the longest time, they might not have made it to the Final Four of the UAAP this year, but in past seasons, they're always a bottom-dwelling team. But they beat last year's finalist, Ateneo de Manila, in the Angliga final.
Yes. Although their standing did not really show their improvement in Adamson when we refer to how they played in the Copa or in the UAP, Coach Darlton Digha did transform them.
Yes, I mean, they didn't get the result, but their quality on the pitch had clearly improved.
And the shout out to them, of course. And is it no surprise, actually, yung dalawang finalists sa UAAP did play in the Copa? Interesting. I'd like to find out your opinion. We're referring to UP and FEU, of course. They did suit up.
Okay, FEU is a program that's always been strong. I thought that this year they were at their most vulnerable. They again, as we said earlier, they were down against Ateneo early in the match. Their results in the elimination round of the UAAP weren't great, and in fact, it's their high school team that looks scarier. But Vince Santos has always done a great job recruiting talent and developing talent in his FEU system. And it's no surprise that they're competitive. UP, on the other hand, not only do they have their first team, they have a deep second team. And that's it was actually the second team that competed mostly in the Copa Paulino Alcantara last year. So it's that depth that's really showing, and it got them the championship. And congratulations to Coach Popoy Clarino and of course Anto Gonzalez the year before him, and everybody behind the UP program. I'm sure there are a lot of happy people out there, including a lot of our executives at the Philippine Football Federation who not only are avid footballers, but they're very vocal and very enthusiastic UP supporters as well.
As we see now here, Loyola look to be working towards their insurance goal. Kanina, nasabi natin, Army were the team looking for that goal when they were in the lead and in the driver's seat.
Well, it's football is a game of ebbs and flows, and you know, the first part of this match was everything was flowing Army's way. They were up 2-1, but the lack of substitutes is starting to show. They've put in some players who don't look to be in the peak fitness as well. There are some players who started and have had to be subbed out, and they didn't look to be in their peak fitness. No, and actually it's AK-47 who looks to have been taken out.
And in his place was 44, Miller Akiapat, in that left back position. AK-47 was doing his thing, as we said, and as you said, of course.
Yeah, so they're going to lose a bit of speed where Cortez was before.
In comes Ano now, trying to put it in.
With a ball that was well struck, but rising all the way. The referee points to the corner, so it looks like Mark Anthony Bedia got fingertips to it.
He appears to be shaken up too from his tough fall, but here's the replay. Had some space, was challenged to shoot.
Yes. Yes, just by the skin of his gloves to that ball. And Mark Anthony looking like he's grateful he's down to half a cup of rice from that last match. Got up to that ball.
Actually, the Bedia we were referring to earlier about the rice was Roy Kent. And then I asked...
Well, they look like the Bedias like rice.
I asked Roy Kent, what did he have to say about that? Yung comment ni Elmer kay Roy. Sabi daw ni Mark Anthony, si Mark, nagda-diet na ako, sir, nung post-match interview.
Of course, the Bedias a proud footballing family.
I also love their sense of humor.
Well, that's another thing that Lacnet's always been known for. I mean,
and with Elmer Lacnet, of course, it was great that our colleague Glenn Casas and I got to interview him at the panel here during that game of Philippine Army versus Menjola FC 1991.
And I'm sure Coach Roxy Dorlas, although his face doesn't show it and will probably never show it, but he's happy that the substitutions he's made has panned out. I mean, they were down 2-1 when before he started making these substitutions, and now they're up 3-2 to hold on for another minute or so plus extra time.
And with you mentioning, Tito Dennis, the top 10 potentially being retained for the PFL, the rest being put into Division 2, maybe we could call that the safe zone, because if Loyola sealed the win, they improved to 9 points, magiging 8th place sila. Medyo pasok sa safe zone.
Medyo pasok, but again, we're in the middle of the season. You never want to be at that cutoff or anywhere near. You want your fate in your own hands as much as possible. Their schedule for the balance of the season, we'll see. This, if they hold on for the win, that's something to build on as we close out the season over the next 2 months. Just about 2 months to close out the season. You want to be as far away from that 10th spot as possible. I mean, they're there, and Tuloy sa Don Bosco is lurking. Menjola wants to improve. Digger thinks it's a lot better than where it is. UCFC is another team that, in the minds of their principals and of their coaching staff, the points should be more than what they are. So a lot's going to happen. I mean, the action's going to heat up. More is going to be on the line with every game. We're going to see a lot more physical play. Not that it's something that we want, but physical play is also an expression that the players want it. Again, they're willing to get stuck in. They're willing to put their bodies on the line. And in any competition, that's what you want to see.
Well, we're just going back with the implications. If Philippine Army do get to pull off a miracle here, with miracle because limited time, they'll improve to 4 points and will be in 12th. If they get a draw, magkakaroon ng gap ng konti sa Manila Monte, who are at the bottom of the table with 0 points. 1 point so far yung Philippine Army sa standings. As we see here!
And that is the first part of the miracle. Who is claiming it? It looks like it would have glanced off.
Maybe Jalsor from the looks of it, yes. The tank plowing through.
Jalsor Soriano. Wow. I mean, the twists and turns of this match.
See the long ball in. There's a reason why Jalsor was there.
Okay, it looks to have glanced off his chest. He wanted it to glance off his head. Ball dip, glanced off his chest. So we have 5 minutes of extra time. We've played almost 2 minutes of it. Wow. I mean, the story that this game is developing into.
And it's the last match of week number 7 before we'll carry on, of course, to match week number 8. It's been a treat here.
It has. It's been a treat watching the game. It's been a treat calling the game with you, Claro.
I'm just having this moment also, Tito, just sitting down, listening, learning from you with your experience.
Well, it's experience, and in this season, we've been at every match. We've tried to cover the games as best as we can and give the fans and give the teams, well, okay, give the fans a show and give the teams a stage. That's really what we're setting here. We're giving the teams a stage in which they can showcase what they're all about, what their football is about. You know, the viewership, we've had about 25,000, 30,000 viewers online for every match. That's what it's averaged at. And the stadium attendance, there's a long way to go, but we get a couple of hundred people in every match. Football matches are more fun, of course, when the stadiums are packed. And we're looking forward to that as the season progresses.
Of course, we've seen the stadium get packed for top caliber teams squaring off as we have a penalty.
No hesitation from the head referee, blowing his whistle and pointing to the spot that looks to be the Loyola player taken out from behind.
Guess who it is, Tito Dennis? It's Frank Ano.
Frank Ano, but will he be the one to take it? See Frank, oh, that was the tank.
Jalsor hurting himself in the process and
awkward
clipping.
Challenge and ill-advised, really ill-advised. I mean, I hate to say it, but to see it from an Army man, that lack of discipline, that was a wild swing that brought Frank Ano down. I mean, you have minutes, if not seconds, to go in a match that you're gonna come away with a point. And that's not a position you want to put your team in.
And if I may add, also with Jalsor Soriano being such an experienced pro player, I was quite surprised.
You know, it looks like the tracks came off that tank in that instance. I mean, he lost his head, swung wildly, paid the price both in his injury to himself and the penalty that Frank Ano and the Loyola FC have been awarded.
And it's been that type of game. Both teams have really been pushing each other to the limit. Some players have had to be subbed off already because of that limit. Army, as you said and we saw, only have 5 subs, so that shallow bench.
That's a shallow bench, and we don't know the quality of the subs, of whether Coach Boogie wants to actually put in those subs. We don't see anybody warming up.
But in the long term, this is a tough sight to see that Jalsor Soriano is in pain. And they had to struggle in getting him into the stretcher, actually, or onto the stretcher.
Well, he's been the key tank in their defense for Philippine Army.
Although he was not there when they picked up the goalless draw, or their goalless draw versus Mindiola, in one of their performances of the season, kahit natalo sila sa UCFC, in holding them goalless for majority of the game, Soriano was really the center of that defense. Sometimes pa nga nakita natin naging back 6, back 5 with an ultra-high defensive line. And from the looks of it,
Looks
it
like
is,
Jorel Aristorenas.
yes, one of the most experienced players.
So, Claro, which way do you think he's going to go?
We were talking about this actually yesterday with the penalties, right?
Okay, so I'm always willing to be wrong, but
Uh-huh.
from where he's standing, unless he steps left, he's going to go to the left.
Okay. I wasn't trying to dodge that, by the way, because walang ikwento. Because earlier or yesterday, you did say Finn McDaniel would shoot left, and you were right. You gave us the Michael Jordan shrug. I didn't guess anymore. You beat me to it. But I wasn't trying to dodge it. We guessed left, right. Ay, may center din eh. Mahirap eh. Always.
So, Jorel giving himself a bit. Oh, he's going to go right.
Oh, but there you go.
Fooled. He had us all fooled, and he had goalkeeper Bedia fooled. But in fooling all of us, looks like he secured the 3 points for his beloved Loyola FC.
A massive goal fest here. Not a penalty shootout, but we could still say it was a shootout with the high-scoring nature of this game. You see right here, he got Bedia going the wrong way.
Well, if there's anything that Army can take away from this match is that they're able to score goals. I mean, even from your losses, you have to take something away. They finished the match with 3 goals.
But that was literally at the death. What a game. And
Both sets of players looking exhausted. Javi Coscolluela covering his face in happiness, not getting the clean sheet, but his team getting the 3 points that they want and need. From this week onwards, every match, every point counts.
we often see that the league format is an endurance, but here again, just 14 games, single round robin. Everyone plays against each other once. This is a sprint.
This is a sprint, and they're playing for rankings. They're playing for the top 10. The top teams are playing for the right to play in the Asia and ASEAN region as well. And the bottom teams are playing for survival in the first division. I mean, there will be a second division, and that's going to be a testing ground for who will deserve to eventually come up into the first division. Exciting things and exciting formats coming for our teams and our fans of football in the country.
There's definitely a way to go for Philippine football, and we've been loving all of the improvements that we've been seeing and witnessing. But we see right here, 7 goals total, 7 different goal scorers. We have Kante, Winter, Ano, and Jorel Aristorenas. Aristorenas gave the game winner. And in contrast for Army, we do see Celis, Ariola, and Soriano. There was so much back and forth in this one. Both teams just going at it, exchanging hold of the lead. When at one point we think that Army had control of this one, all of a sudden Loyola just refused to give up. And when Loyola got it, Army doing Army things. As we see right now, our 8 cuts.
Okay, in spite of coming in as a substitute, Frank Ano proving that he is the spark that Loyola has lost. And scoring that goal to give them the lead. Playing a few minutes, but coming away as our moment man of the match, Frank Ano.
And the moment man of the match again, as we see, that was Sidibe who did set up a number of chances. Or that was Ano actually, but Sidibe is another player who did make a big impact also. Highlights of plenty. Kalukaran also did manage to support his team in staying afloat in this one through choppy waters or a tough scenario. Well, here is one of those moments, as we see. There was Sidibe sending it in. That's the play I was looking for.
That's a poacher's goal from Frank Ano. I mean, lurking outside the 6-yard box, taking the 2 steps to get into the path of Sidibe's pass. Just a foot out, have it glance off your foot into the goal.
Calucaran also tried to knock on the door there, but it was no good. And we were saying Army needed a miracle to take the win. They came close because
They
they
came
did.
close.
They equalized in added time.
They came close, and they alam mo, the Dihadista in me, and of course there we see the collision between Cortez, I think that was.
Jalsor Soriano
Jalsor
and
Soriano.
Frank Ano.
Okay.
Yes. And Ano won the penalty. Virtual assist of sorts to Jonel Aristorenas, a goal. The virtual assist.
The virtual athlete scoring a very real penalty kick.
And that does it here for our coverage. A big thank you again here for as we wrap up this weekend of Philippines Football League action. Para Manzano on call for this one. And also to the Dennis Lusingo. And thank you also to behalf of Derek Francis Opilio and the entire hard working crew. Floor directors, cameramen, producers, statisticians. Goodbye, and we will catch you soon.